Sometimes, the stuff unearthed by archaeologists can seriously mess with our heads. Ancient places and objects have this wild way of bending logic and flipping expectations. And it's not always the experts who find these things. Sometimes it's just normal people, in the most random places, totally by chance. The proof of the honesty of that statement is right here in this video. So stay tuned, and let's look at 15 of the most incredible discoveries that really exist. Number 15, James Hyatt Sits Gold Discovery. Back in 2009, James Hyatt was just 3 years old when he and his dad decided to try out a metal detector in a field near Hockley, Essex. It was their first time using one, and what happened next feels like something straight out of a museum fairy tale. Within minutes, little James struck gold. Yes, actual real gold. Buried beneath the soil was a 500-year-old solid gold locket, likely meant to hold a sacred relic. On the front, there's an image of the Virgin Mary. The back shows the 5 wounds of Christ. It once opened to store something tiny, but 5 centuries underground sealed it shut. In the UK, finds like this must be shared with the landowner, unless the Crown declares it treasure. But James's family caught a break. The British Museum stepped in and bought the locket for just under $4 million. Not bad for a toddler's first treasure hunt, and definitely the kind of story that makes even seasoned archaeologists jealous. And just why not? Number 14. Wand with human faces. At Tel Karasa in southern Syria, archaeologists unearthed a ritual object that pushed the boundaries of Neolithic art. Buried in layers of an artificial mound near an ancient graveyard, the artifact is a 9,000-year-old wand etched with 2 realistic human faces, an incredibly rare find from that time. The wand was carved from the rib bone of an aurochs, an extinct wild ancestor of modern cattle. It measures just under 5 inches long and has been intentionally snapped at both ends, suggesting it once featured additional carvings. Found near a burial site where decapitated bodies were discovered, the wand appears tied to funerary rituals, though the exact purpose remains unclear. What's particularly striking is its similarity to another early find in Jericho, where skulls were painted and preserved in domestic spaces. Researchers believe these practices may point to a symbolic connection between the living and the dead, where ancestral presence was visually maintained. This object, though small, opens an entirely new conversation about how early humans represented identity, memory, and death. Number 13. Norfolk Graffiti Survey. In Norfolk, England, a group of archaeologists has spent over a decade examining something you'd normally walk right past: ancient graffiti. The Norfolk Medieval Graffiti Survey focused on 65 medieval churches, hunting for etched symbols, strange figures, and long-forgotten messages. These markings aren't just mindless doodles. Some are thought to be prayers from people who couldn't read or write. A ship might mean someone prayed for safe travels, while more abstract figures could symbolize demons or divine protection. One find stood out: a massive 8-foot-tall sketch on a church wall in Binham Priory. It's believed the master mason used it to plan out the Great West Window before construction. The window partially collapsed in the 1800s, but thanks to the sketch, there's hope it can be accurately restored. These carvings blur the line between vandalism and sacred expression. In the absence of written records, they offer a raw, unfiltered glimpse into the thoughts and fears of medieval life. Number 12. Roman defensive stakes in Germany. In the region of Bad Ems, Germany, archaeology students working near the former northern frontier of the Roman Empire made a rare and unexpected find: actual Roman defensive stakes, similar to those Julius Caesar once used during his Gallic campaigns. Originally misidentified as remnants of a smelting site, the area turned out to be a 20-acre Roman military camp, complete with double ditches and layers of preserved wooden spikes. A coin found at the site dates to 43 CE, aligning with historical accounts that the Roman governor Curtius Rufus attempted silver mining in the area around 47 CE. According to Tacitus, the Romans likely established the camp as a base to protect their mining operations from local resistance. Interestingly, the camp was never fully completed and appears to have been burned down shortly afterward. The stakes, remarkably preserved in the moist soil, provide a rare physical example of Roman military engineering and a direct link to tactics recorded in ancient texts but rarely seen in real life. Number 11. Tim Ryder sits mammoth tooth. March 2022 started out like any other fishing day for Tim Ryder, a commercial angler with the New England fishmongers. He was out dredging for scallops off the coast of Newburyport, but instead of seafood, his team pulled up something wild: a 12,000-year-old mammoth tooth. Not a fossil fragment or a chip, but a whole tooth, over 11 inches long and about 7 pounds in weight. Experts later confirmed it belonged to a woolly mammoth, specifically one of its molars. While mammoth fossils have been found in New England before, few are this well preserved. At first, Tim displayed the tooth at his restaurant in Kittery, Maine. But after watching global crises unfold, particularly the war in Ukraine, he had a change of heart. He auctioned the tooth and donated all proceeds to World Central Kitchen, which helps feed displaced families. It ended up raising more than $10,000. So, an Ice Age relic became a lifeline for people in real need. Will you do the same? Number D's. Ancient Roman eye medicine. A Roman merchant ship sank off the coast of Tuscany over 2,000 years ago, and inside it, archaeologists found what looked like round gray tablets sealed in tin containers. At first, no one had a clue what they were. Fast forward to 2019, after years of chemical testing, scientists finally figured it out. They were eye medicine. Yup, Romans had their own version of medicated balm for eye issues. The ingredients: beeswax, pine resin, smithsonite, and hydrocyanic acid, all ground into a solid form meant to be softened and rubbed onto the eyelid. The mixture matches recipes from Roman writers like Pliny the Elder. The tablets even resemble small loaves of bread. Fitting, since the Latin word collyrium, eyewash, comes from the Greek for little loaves. These finds prove that Roman healthcare wasn't just about leeches and prayers, they had chemistry and purpose. It's another reminder that ancient people weren't clueless, they were just working with the tools they had. Alright guys, now let's head over to Number 9. Jersey Sips Iron Age Coin Hoard. On the island of Jersey, buried under an ordinary-looking hedge, lay something anything but ordinary. It took a team of amateur metal detectorists in 2012 to find what turned out to be the world's largest hoard of Iron Age coins, 69,347 of them, packed tight into a single clump of soil. The find instantly became one of the most valuable archaeological treasures in British history. The coins were about 2,000 years old and linked to a tribe fleeing Roman conquest, likely burying their wealth in a hurry. In December 2021, Jersey officially bought the hoard back from the British Crown for £4 million. Yup, million with capital M. The money came from seized criminal assets, a wild twist of fate that turned dirty money into cultural preservation. Now known as the Lecaton II hoard, the collection sits under the care of Jersey Heritage. More than just currency, these coins offer a time capsule into tribal economics, craftsmanship, and the political chaos of the ancient world. Not bad for something stashed under a hedge. Number 8. Mayan calendar fragments. In 2001, archaeologists working in the Guatemalan jungle uncovered the ruins of a lost Mayan city called San Bartolo, where they focused their attention on a pyramid known as Las Pinturas, named after the vivid, detailed murals lining its walls. Tucked into its first chamber, researchers came across fragments of 2 murals that turned out to hold something unexpected: the oldest recorded instance of the Mayan calendar system. These fragments date back roughly 2,200 years and represent an early version of the Tzolk'in, Maya's ritual calendar that divided the year into 260 days. Instead of months and weeks, the system used symbolic combinations of numbers and glyphs like 7 deer or 9 jade. This calendar wasn't just for scheduling, it tied into spiritual beliefs, cosmology, and ritual cycles. The calendar predicted events and structured everything from harvests to ceremonies. Though 2012 was famously misunderstood as a Mayan doomsday prophecy, these fragments offer insight into how ancient Mesoamerican culture measured time, saw the universe, and gave order to their world long before modern clocks. Number 7. Pharaoh Seth's solar boat at Abu Rawash. Even in Egypt, where ancient wonders are practically everywhere, some finds still surprise. A team from the French Institute of Oriental Archaeology, excavating the ancient site of Abu Rawash, 15 miles northwest of Cairo, has unearthed the remains of a 5,000-year-old solar boat dating to the reign of the First Dynasty pharaoh Den. Measuring about 20 feet long and 4 feet across, this wooden vessel was never meant to sail the Nile. It wasn't built for water, it was built for the afterlife. Ancient Egyptians believed that when a pharaoh died, their soul needed transportation to reach the eternal realm, and a boat was the perfect spiritual ride. What makes this discovery so huge is its age. It's more than 500 years older than any other complete funerary boat ever found. Even better, it's still intact. Before this, the oldest known royal ships were impressive, but this one rewrites what we thought we knew about Egypt's earliest burial customs. And while it may never have touched the water, it was built to carry someone's soul to the edge of eternity. Number 6. Offering Table of Thutmose III. In ancient Egyptian belief, the gods and the dead shared the same essential needs as the living, regular nourishment through food and libations. A physical expression of this idea was the offering table, a carved stone slab used to present sustenance to the departed or the divine. These tables often mirrored the help symbol, the hieroglyph for offering, as seen in this example. The slab represents a woven mat, with a central projection shaped like a loaf of bread, to ensure offerings would continue indefinitely. Representations of food, drink, and the standard offering formula were often inscribed directly onto the stone, making the table symbolically eternal in its function. This particular piece comes from Karnak Temple and is attributed to Thutmose III, the renowned warrior king of Egypt's 18th dynasty. The front features the king kneeling, presenting liquid-filled vessels. Instead of carved food items, the top contains 40 recessed holes meant to hold actual offerings. The king's full titulary is inscribed along the front, flanked by Isis knots and D-jade pillars, symbols of divine protection and enduring strength. Number 5. Scythian gold vessels, with drug traces. A burial mound in Russia's Caucasus Mountains revealed more than just status. It exposed ancient ritual habits that few expected inside. Archaeologists discovered intricately crafted gold vessels that tested positive for traces of cannabis and opium. These artifacts, dated to roughly 2,400 years ago, belonged to the Scythians, a nomadic warrior culture with a reputation for elaborate funerals and strong ceremonial traditions. The scenes etched into the vessels are graphic, showing older men slaying younger warriors, possibly tied to symbolic rites or mythological tales. Greek historian Herodotus once described Scythians using cannabis during purification rituals, and this find seems to confirm he wasn't exaggerating. Whether these substances were consumed only in ceremonies or played a larger role in their culture is still debated. Either way, the vessels found near Stavropol offer a rare glimpse into the spiritual and social complexity of a culture often only remembered for warfare. Gold doesn't lie, and these pieces carry stories written in both metal and residue. Alright guys, now let's head over to number 4. Egyptian blue. Thousands of years ago, ancient Egyptian chemists developed a synthetic pigment that's still being studied by modern scientists. Known today as Egyptian blue, it was used extensively in the New Kingdom period to decorate everything from temples to sarcophagi. Created from calcium and copper silicate, it was the first artificial pigment ever made by human hands. The color itself isn't just vibrant, it has unusual properties. When exposed to light, it emits infrared radiation, making it useful in energy-efficient technologies. Researchers in 2020 even used it to produce nanosheets just 100,000th the thickness of a human hair. These ultra-thin sheets are now being tested for use in biomedical imaging and solar energy harvesting. What's wild is that the people who created it likely had no idea of its full potential. Egyptian blue wasn't just pretty, it was chemically advanced. For a civilization working with simple kilns and raw minerals, the precision of the formula is almost unbelievable. It's a striking example of ancient science meeting aesthetic expression and still pushing innovation today. Hope we can uncover its secrets. Number 3. Bronze Age gold spirals. Thousands of tightly coiled gold spirals, each no longer than an inch, surfaced in Boeslunde, Denmark, one of the most unusual Bronze Age finds in northern Europe. Archaeologists uncovered over 2,000 of these thread-like spirals, all dating back nearly 3,000 years. Despite their size, the combined weight hits half a pound of solid gold, which makes them valuable, but it's their purpose that's still up for debate. Some believe they adorned ceremonial clothing worn by tribal elites or priests, possibly to represent solar power or divine authority. Others suggest they were part of ritual offerings, placed at sacred sites in exchange for favor from deities. What's clear is that this isn't just random gold, it's a structured deposit, buried with intent. The sheer volume and uniform design suggest coordinated production, not casual decoration. Boeslunde has long been known for gold finds, but this hoard stands out for its scale and mystery. No written records exist, just pure craftsmanship from a culture that clearly understood symbolism and precision. Number 2. Vindolanda sits, long wooden object. Back in 1992, excavators at the Roman fort of Vindolanda, near Hadrian's Wall in England, uncovered a carved wooden object that raised more eyebrows than conclusions. Shaped in a very specific form and measuring 7 inches in length, the item was initially downplayed as a possible pestle or good luck charm. But behind closed doors, the team had their suspicions. By 2023, they officially confirmed what many had privately assumed: it was almost certainly a sex toy. The object shows clear anatomical design on one end and significant smoothing from repeated use, pointing to its intended function. Carved from wood and remarkably well preserved due to the site's waterlogged soil, it's believed to be one of the earliest physical examples of sexual paraphernalia from the Roman world. Whether it was used for practical, ritualistic, or humorous reasons is still up for debate. But the fact remains, Romans were people with the same curiosities, needs, and awkward moments as anyone today. Number 1. Amarna art and Nefertiti sits, unusual portraiture. The Amarna period of ancient Egypt, circa 1353 to 1336 BCE, marked a radical departure from traditional artistic norms. Under Pharaoh Akhenaten's rule, art shifted to depict more naturalistic, exaggerated human forms, elongated limbs, narrow shoulders, pointed chins, and slanted eyes. One limestone relief housed at the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford captures this style in vivid detail. It shows Queen Nefertiti, Akhenaten's powerful wife, offering a bouquet to Akhon, the sun disk deity, central to the religious revolution of that era. Her figure is stylized but unmistakable. High cheekbones, thin arms, and flowing movement carved into stone. This was more than just an aesthetic choice. The Amarna art style reflected a larger religious and philosophical shift away from Egypt's polytheistic traditions. Official court art from this period leaned heavily into symbolism, but the stylization also conveyed an intimate, emotional dimension rarely seen in Egyptian sculpture. The relief not only highlights Nefertiti's influence, but also showcases how politics, faith, and artistic expression collided during a pivotal moment in Egypt's history. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more mind-blowing content like this. Thanks for tuning in with us, and we'll see you very soon.